I think I have a solution to our immigration situation that's going on in the United States right now. And by situation, I mean all the stuff that we're seeing in the news and the headlines on a daily. I think I have a solution for it. But before I get into that, if you enjoy listening to me ramble about motorsports, cars, which I promise, despite what you may think, this video will be about cars and racing. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and turn on notifications. Tell your friends. We are under a copyright strike. I've mentioned this before in every video, and I will continue to do so until it is gone. While we're in copyright strike, our reach is limited. You know, whereas we had thousands of views up until that happened, now we're down to like 30 people are watching. So YouTube is trying to stamp us out. So if you would, share this video, tell your friends, shout it from the rooftops, tell everyone that this is your favorite motorsports channel and that it's the best one on YouTube, because it is. If you're interested in diecast, t-shirts, hats, racing memorabilia, or anything else, not even racing related, I mean clothes, lamps, decor, check out our eBay. The link is in the description. If you see something that you're interested in, shoot me an offer. I promise you I will not say no, because I want this stuff to be gone. As you can see, there's a lot, and I'm tired of looking at it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So I want to say this. I have no problem with Mexico, anyone from Mexico, just up front. And I also want to say the reason that I'm talking about this and the reason I'm going to get into it is because it's been all over the news as of the past couple of days. Mexico, Mexicans, whatever, has been trending on X, everywhere else. So it got me thinking. There is a rally that takes place in Mexico. It's called the La Carrera Panamericana. I knew that before I tried to say it, and it just escaped me. And I'm also not very good at speaking Spanish. I'm German, genetically. I'm German, Austrian, and I grew up in the South, so yeah, I can't speak Spanish very well. So the La Carrera, I'm not even going to try. La Carrera Panamericana. There it is. It's one of the oldest rallies in the world. And by rally, I mean rally race. Not like a physical rally with a bunch of people hanging around. Rally race. And it's staged annually in Mexico. I think that everyone here illegally can stay here illegally. Sure, why not? And we'll continue to do what we've been doing. And in return, I think all the rules and regulations for that race should be scrubbed. That's what I think. That's my personal opinion. And I also think they should allow everyone to cross the border openly and freely. That way, if you want to compete in the rally, just drive down there, man. That's it. No entry fees, no rules. If I wanted to, I could take one of the Priuses sitting out here in my yard and go run it. I wouldn't do that because I hate Priuses. But I'm just saying, I think it's a fair trade, honestly. I think it's something that we should petition to the White House and see if Trump could work that out. I think he'd be open to it. I mean, why not? Maybe we should petition for Donald Trump to compete in that rally. That rally's kind of like, if you remember the movie with Burt Reynolds, the Gumball Rally from back in the day, it's basically the same thing. Just in Mexico, not in America. Which I think the Gumball Rally was in America. I just referenced the movie now, I can't remember anything about the movie, other than Burt Reynolds was in it. Let's move on. Someone was talking about, and I'm just joking by the way, like, don't get your feelings hurt. It was just a joke. Just kidding. All that stuff going on at the border and all that kind of stuff, it's above my pay grade. So Anyway, I would love to compete in the rally because the rally's awesome. It's been there for it's forever. There's a picture of Big Bill France and Curtis Turner running that rally together because they used to be friends, and then Curtis tried to unionize NASCAR, and Big Bill took quite the offense to that, which, I mean, you could understand. It's his sport. He started it. He owned it. It was his baby. And then trying to unionize it, take power away from him. I could understand the frustration. And so he banned Curtis from NASCAR. And then, later on, Curtis was killed in a plane crash, which sucked, man. And I'm condensing the timeline there, but that's essentially, that's all the key points of what happened. And I'm sure Bill was not, I don't know how well you could take that. The guy was like your best friend. You banned him from the sport. You felt like he was stabbing you in the back, and then he ends up getting killed in a plane crash. That sucks. That absolutely sucks. But anyway, someone was talking online earlier about Bristol. I think it was Mark Martin or his son. One of the two. They were talking about Bristol back in the day versus Bristol now. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee. Short track, it's legendary, but it's fallen on hard times lately because now, they have football games in the infield that sells more seats than the NASCAR races do. And I hate to see that because back in the 2000s, there was a waiting list for tickets for the Cup races. And then the Saturday races did really well. Also, if they didn't sell out, it was close to it. And but the past few years, it's been really, really bad. You look at the grandstands, and there's like a quarter of the grandstands full or what have you. And, I believe the reason for that was the reconfiguration in 2007. So Bristol prior to that was basically a one-groove racetrack. Every once in a while, someone would get up, in the second groove and kind of get things rolling. But for the most part, it was a one-groove racetrack and around the bottom. And so in order to pass, you had to kind of root and gouge with one another, knock guys out of the way, get them, rooted up off the bottom groove. And then more often than not, that ticked this guy off at that guy. And so there's a lot of famous footage, people throwing helmets. I think it was Ward Burton threw his, they wear, or I don't know if they still do, but they used to wear these hill protectors, I guess is what you call them. I don't actually know what they're called, but they're like this metal thing that goes on the outside of your shoe because the floor of the car would get so hot and it would kind of absorb the heat and keep your foot from melting off. And he took those off and threw them at Dale Jr. one time because Jr. took them out, and so Hut Strickland did something similar. Matt Kenseth threw helmet at Tony Stewart, just all that kind of cool stuff that happened back in the day that you don't really see anymore because when they reconfigured the track in 07, they put in progressive banking. So it went from being a one groove racetrack to being, a three groove track. And you had options and stuff like that. So used to, I remember this from when I was a kid too. I mean, it's crazy to think about how much it's changed, but you would never pit under green at Bristol back in the day. You wouldn't do it. Number one, if you pitted under green, there was always an issue. Like you had like a tire going down or something like that, a wheel was loose, something. Because if you pitted under green otherwise, just because of, whatever, you would always lose at least 2 laps, and then there would always be a crash, and then you'd get stuck 2 laps down. Now, Stages has changed it a little bit, but before Stages, they would have green flag pit stops like it was Michigan or like it was Fontana. Stages has changed that a little bit, which I can't stand Stages because I think it's artificial nonsense. But I just don't understand why. People tell me all the time, well, a large part of the reason people don't go anymore is because of hotel prices and restaurant prices. They gouge the prices on race weekends. Yeah, but they did that in 2002 as well, in 2003, and so on and so forth. It was not cheap to go to Bristol for a race weekend. It just wasn't. And people still went. I can tell you right now, even with the terrible Gen 7 race car, if that track was in the same configuration that it was prior to 07, I would spend the money now to go. I just would, because the racing would be awesome. It wouldn't be as good as it used to be because the Gen 7 car's terrible, but it would still be entertaining. And I just don't, it blows my mind that Marcus Smith, his daddy was alive and was in leadership position with the track, I can't remember, SMI or whichever one it is, when that was done. And then Bruton, his daddy, tried to say that it was a construction crew and he had no say-so in it and they just did something on their own. Like, complete nonsense. Give me a break. That's not what happened. And since that time, rather than fixing the problem and going back to when the track was lucrative and sold out and had a waiting list for tickets, they've done nothing aside from put dirt on the track a couple of years to try to drum up excitement. Or they'll come in and they'll put sticky crap on the bottom groove of the track to try to artificially recreate the old Bristol. But that stuff's gone after 50 laps, and then it's back to running all over the racetrack. It blows my mind that we just refuse to fix the problem. I don't get it. I really don't. It can't be a money thing because they just spent millions of dollars bringing Wilkesboro back from the dead. So it can't be a money thing because it would be an investment, basically, because you would make that money back wholesale because the track, even with NASCAR's popularity falling off a cliff, they repaved the track at like the absolute worst time as well or reconfigured the track at the worst time because it was in conjunction with Brian France trying to do everything within his power to kill the sport. He did a pretty good job of that. But I don't know. I just don't, the solutions to NASCAR's problems, pretty much all of them, are so blatantly obvious that like a 5-year-old kid could solve them like instantly. But they refuse to do anything about any of it. Instead, they double down on crap that is divisive, polarizing, whatever you want to call it, that people cannot stand. Rather than just doing something that has been tried and true and worked. NASCAR became massively successful after 50 plus years of doing things the way that they did, with no stages, no playoffs, none of that nonsense, no overtime, nothing. None of the ball sport garbage. Yet they double down on that crap now when, this is a series that used to have numbers that competed with the NFL back in the 2000s. That ship has long since sailed and will likely never come back. And you can tell me that, well, all major sports experienced a downturn or whatever. NFL's still doing great. Okay? And that's even after all the Colin Kaepernick crap, because that was polarizing. That split the fan base. That's why they put a stop to it. They're still doing great. Formula One, same thing. And I'm not talking about just in America. I'm talking about globally. Formula One, because it's a global sport. But, I just don't understand. I would love for at some point in my lifetime for Bristol to go back to the way that it used to be. They would have a permanent fan. I would literally go every year to both races. 100%. But instead, we're talking about potentially, the rumor is, or people are wanting, for a date to be taken away from Bristol and given to another racetrack. That's insane to me. It's insane, and it is so easily fixable. But, like I said, since it is, that means they'll never do it. And speaking of no fans, I don't know if anyone's paid attention to the IndyCar races this weekend. They've been in Iowa. It was a doubleheader. They had one yesterday and they had one today. And it's like no one sent out the memo to anyone that there was actually a race taking place this weekend, because the shots of the grandstand are embarrassing. There's literally, there's no one there. It looks like a race during COVID when everyone was forced to stay home. You couldn't go to the racetrack and they just ran at an empty racetrack. That's what it looks like in 2025. What are y'all doing? I mean, the track promoter, I think, is responsible for, drumming up excitement, sending out stuff, social media, and getting the word out that this race is going on this date. Make sure you're there, be square, that kind of thing. They obviously forgot the races this weekend. I don't know what they were doing. but it's embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing. It's another series that I could go on a soapbox about the ownership. I have before. I don't think that James Hinchcliffe said that Roger shouldn't own the series and own a team. I agree with that 100%. You will never convince me that there's no one out there who would buy IndyCar, the series. That you can't convince me of that. I won't believe it. And the reason I say that is because that's been the argument every time I say that Penske should sell the series. Well, there's no one else out there that's interested in it, and yada yada yada. He bought it because of COVID and everything else, when no one else would. Well, yeah, because it was during COVID. No one was wanting to spend any money. Obviously, this ain't during COVID. Okay, there's someone out there who would buy it, and likely do a better job. I'm not trying to throw stones at Roger. I'm just saying that there's been some questionable things that's happened since he took ownership. I don't want to get into all of it because, like I said, I don't want to bash him too much. But what I will talk about and who I will bash is Brian Vickers. Okay. This whole Epstein conversation got me to thinking about Brian. If you don't know who Brian is, he raced in NASCAR back in the 2000s and the teens. And I like Brian. I pulled for Brian. I really did. I really liked him when he went to Red Bull. I think he was brought up to... He won the championship in Xfinity, or the Busch Series, in 2003 for Hendrick. And then they brought him up to the Cup Series in 2004. And I think, there was a lot of pressure on him because he ran really good in the Busch Series. But I think what a lot of people don't realize, too, is he was really close to Ricky Hendrick. He was really close to Adam Petty as well. They were really good friends, but he was really close to Ricky. And then when Ricky was killed, I think that had a significant impact on Brian being at Hendrick. So I think when he left Hendrick, I think that was a good move for him, and he went to Red Bull, which was a new team. They struggled a little bit that first year, and then he got really good. And then he started having health issues, and then he had to step away from the sport. His wife is Jeffrey Epstein's top recruiter, of the girls that they were doing all that stuff with. And I read earlier this morning that they actually filed for divorce a couple months ago. I would love to know the backstory on why that happened, because now, the Epstein thing is full front and center, and now all of a sudden they're filing for divorce. The timing is interesting. I know I said I was going to throw Brian under the bus. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. I mean, we don't know what has been said and what goes on behind closed doors. That's their relationship. It's none of our business. But, who knows? She could be telling the truth that she said that she was forced to do it. That could be true. Who knows? None of us know. What I want to know is the same thing that everybody else wants to know, is who were the clients? Because if that shows anything with Brian, it does show this, and that is that there was obviously some sort of connection to NASCAR. But who knows? She could have not had any ties to NASCAR, really, after they got together while all that was going on. Who knows? We'll never know. We'll likely never know. We'll never know the full extent of all that nonsense that happened. So we can keep talking about it till we're blue in the face, but I don't think that's really going to change much of anything. So, and I don't want to accuse anybody of being involved in anything nefarious without knowing for sure. So, who knows? Who knows? But that's it for today. All I want to say is, Marcus, fix Bristol, man. Just for the love of God, fix Bristol. Make it the Bristol of old, when it was great. When it really was the last true great Coliseum. Because it's not anymore. Unless you want to watch football. And that's not what it was built for. Okay? Man, I could go on about that for hours on end. It is so annoying. Also, give Mexico a break. You could have... Okay, let me rephrase that. You can have issues with the immigration, illegal immigration, whatever. I don't like illegal immigration. I have a problem with it. But the country itself, There's some good motor racing that happens there. There's some good people there. So, hate what's going on in America because of laws not being followed. But, you know, let's not just throw an entire country. It's like Canada, you know? Everyone that I see online keeps throwing Canada up underneath the bus because of everything going on with the tariffs or whatever. Canada's great. I like Canadian bacon. It's pretty good. We wouldn't have Canadian bacon without Canada. So I'm good with Canada. You know? Everybody just got to follow rules and regs and laws and all that kind of stuff. It's as simple as that. But I'm not getting into politics. If you enjoy listening to me ramble about cars, motorsports, anything I feel like talking about, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. The works. Tell your friends. Shout out from the rooftops. Like I said earlier about the copyright strike. Any word of mouth helps. Positive word of mouth helps. So it'd be greatly appreciated. If you're into diecast, or if you're looking for diecast t-shirts, hats, auto parts, decor, action figures, books, kids' clothing, women's clothing, men's clothing, decor, check out our eBay. The link is in the description. If you see something you're interested in, shoot us an offer. I likely will not say no, you know, unless it's like 50 cents for a hood, then obviously. But, you know, it's just be reasonable, just be realistic. So that's all I ask, and I won't say no. So check it out. Thanks for watching, guys and gals. Until next time, take it easy, and we'll see you. Peace.